Okay, let's try graphing a quadratic function where we have a negative coefficient for x squared. Now, I want to give you a helpful hint about these types of problems. When you have a negative coefficient for x squared, your parabola is going to open down. You notice that the previous problem, we had a positive coefficient for x squared. Our parabola opens up. So remember that. That is something that's really good to remember at the beginning of every graphing problem. If the coefficient of x squared is a positive number, your parabola is going to open up. If the coefficient of x squared is a negative number, your parabola is going to open down. Okay, so now let's find the x-coordinate of the vertex, because that's where we always have to start when we're graphing a parabola. So we go back to our axis of symmetry equation, x equals negative b over 2a, and we take a look at our new problem. Well, it looks like the b, the coefficient of x, is going to be 4, so we put 4 in place of b. And a, which is the coefficient of x squared, is negative 1. Don't forget the negative. So we put negative 1 in place of a. So when we go ahead and simplify negative 4 over 2 times negative 1, we find out that our x-coordinate for our vertex is going to be 2. Now, of course, we have to substitute that 2 in place of x in our original problem and find out what is the y-coordinate for our vertex going to be. Let's do that next. Okay, here's another real important helpful hint. When you're substituting in x values, please substitute them in using parentheses, okay? Because in this problem, I don't want to square negative 2. You notice how only the x is being squared, not the negative. So that means when I substitute 2 in place of x, I'm only squaring the 2, not the negative. I know that's just kind of a little hint, but it really pays off big dividends, because then you won't get those negative signs wrong. So again, when you're substituting the x values in, please substitute them in using parentheses. Okay, so we substitute 2 in place of x, and we simplify it, and we find out that the y-coordinate for our vertex is going to be 9. So we know where our vertex is. It's going to be at the ordered pair 2, 9. So let's go ahead and start this graph. As you can see, I've done the first 2 things that we need to do every time we're graphing a parabola. I located my vertex, which is at the point 2, 9. And I've also drawn in a dotted line where my axis of symmetry is, and the axis of symmetry is the vertical line x equals 2. Okay, good start. Now you know what we have to do. We have to get 4 more points in order to find out a good idea where this parabola is sitting. Now, remember how to get the x's? That's right. I have to take the next 2 x-coordinates to the right of 2 and the next 2 x-coordinates to the left of 2. So the x values that I'm going to be using on my xy table are going to be 3 and 4 and 1 and 0. So let's go back to the xy table and get this done. Well, I have carefully substituted in my additional 4 x values, and I found the additional 4 y-coordinates that go with my new x-coordinates. So I have the 4 additional points that I have to graph to get my parabola. I've got 0, 5, 1, 8, 3, 8, and 4, 5. Now please remember that whenever you do a parabola graph, you should have 5 points. Otherwise, you're not going to have enough points to really get a good idea where the parabola is sitting on the coordinate grid. You want to have accurate graphs all the time. So let's take these 4 points, go back to the graph, and finish off our parabola. And there we have our finished parabola. So remember, always put in the 5 points and label those 5 points with their ordered pairs. And please remember to always label the vertex with a V. Remember to make sure that your graphs are U-shaped graphs, not V-shaped graphs. So make sure you have a smooth curve around the vertex part of the graph. Well, I know these are a little bit tougher. We've had easier linear graphs in the past, and parabolas are a pretty big jump in difficulty level, but I know you can handle it. Just follow my directions and you're going to have some great parabola graphs. So, do a great job, and we'll see you next time.